Hello and welcome back to On the Road Adventure. Today I'm going to review Royal Enfield's new motorcycle, the Bear 650. Now this is a bike I've been dying to get my hands on for a little while. As soon as I saw the pictures I knew this is something that I wanted to ride. The Royal Enfield Interceptor was a very popular bike, and as soon as it came out, us bikers, we love to modify things and make things different and make it our own, and a lot of people made Scramblers from them. It's just dying to be done. Royal Enfield have realised this and they've made a bike now for us, pre-packaged as a Scrambler right out the showroom, and it looks fantastic. Now you could be forgiven for thinking that this is just an Interceptor dressed up. This is a whole new bike. So let's have a look around it and then we'll take it for a spin and we'll see what we think. So here she is, and first impressions looking at this bike, I think it is pretty damn cool. I love the number board, and I really like the exhaust system. And even the colourway actually. There's another version of this, the 249, but this is the one I've managed to get my hands on today. But as Scramblers go, this bike has got the looks, I'm sure you'll agree. So as I said, this is in fact a completely new bike built ground up to be the Bear 650. The only thing that's the same is this parallel 650 air-cooled engine that was in the previous Meteor. So one of the first things I noticed is just how pretty this tank looks. I really love this stripe down the middle with the Bear, and the quality of the paintwork. It's really, really nice. Got a beautiful shine to it. I think the colours go together really well. It's a really nice decal. With that chrome cap, just finishes it off lovely alongside the handlebars and the chrome surround on the clock. And while we're on the handlebars, let's take a moment to really appreciate this gloss black aluminium switchgear. It just looks really premium. On some of the other Royal Enfields they're sort of a matte black plastic, and there's nothing wrong with that, but this just looks really nice. There's a lot of really nice touches on this bike. And again, the handlebars themselves with the brace there as well, lovely shiny chrome. And this is one of those bikes, it's a bit of a looker, I think. We got that nice Scrambler style ribbed seat with the beautiful Royal Enfield emblem stamped in the back. And on the back, we got this sort of hoop finish here and the grab handle for the pillion. Coming further down at the back, we've got these rather large indicators, I have to say, and a really nice round retro light. And again, with that silver finish around the outside, I think that looks very good. I'm not sure I'm sold on the indicators. Now, while these tyres do look the part, they look a lot like the Rally STRs, but don't be mistaken, these are MRF Nylorex tyres, which look very similar. So this is the parallel twin 2-into-1 exhaust. Now a lot of us would expect a Scrambler to have a high level exhaust, but although I might agree that the high level exhaust looks better, when it comes to practicality this makes a lot of sense. Without the high level exhaust you can put some nice throw-over panniers on here. Now I know that Royal Enfield do already have a catalogue of accessories for this bike, and I think the bike has been designed with those accessories and customising in mind, and I think we're going to see a lot of that. For example, we can see that the grab bar on the back is just held on with 2 bolts there, and you could completely remove that very easily with no problem. The second big advantage of having this exhaust a bit lower is for your pillion. If you're going to carry a pillion, they're not going to feel that heat of the exhaust on their legs, so they're going to be happy too. Well, that exhaust might look the part, but let's start it up more importantly. Let's see if it sounds the part. The 648cc parallel twin is offering us 47 horsepower at 7,000 revs and 41.7 pounds of torque at just over 5,000 revs. It's got a 6-speed chain final drive transmission. I really love these forks. They're blacked out from top to bottom. I think I would probably remove that reflector there. But these are 43mm Showa inverted forks with 5.1 inches of travel. And on the rear we got dual outboard shocks with 4.5 inches of travel. Up front we've got a 320mm disc with a 2-piston floating caliper with ABS, and the rear brake is a 270mm disc with a single piston floating caliper, again ABS. It's a lovely chunky spoked 19-inch wheel up the front and a 17-inch rear. So as I said, this is a completely different bike to the Interceptor. Even the frame is different. It's a double cradle tubular mild steel frame. It has ground clearance of 7.2 inches and a seat height of 32.7 inches. On the left switchgear then, we've got the usual lights, high and low beam, pass, indicators, horn, and a little toggle switch there for controlling the dash, switching between things like your fuel and MPG and that sort of thing. And on the right we've got the traditional push across kill switch and starter and your hazards. Royal Enfield are famous for keeping the if it ain't broke, don't fix it approach. They're not trying to make their engines more powerful. They're not trying to go bigger and bigger CC. They're not trying to go with latest technology and electronic suspension and heated seats and all the rest of it. It's a nice, simple, honest machine. The only bit of tech we got on here is this lovely dash, which is the same one that was on the Himalayan 450. And I honestly think it's all you need. It's got an app that's going to work alongside your phone, and it's going to display turn-by-turn navigation via Google Maps. So a small thing that makes a lot of difference, I think, and isn't usually on the bikes, but Royal Enfield have put this large fender extender here, and that's going to help keep the bike clean. It makes a lot of sense, and it's, you know, it's an add-on that you usually have to put on each bike, or I like to, and I love that they've put that on there in the first place because it's needed. Well, that's enough talking about it. Let's jump on it, let's go for a ride, and let's see what this bike's all about. So let's have a look at this dash then. On start up we get that lovely Royal Enfield Bear 650 logo, followed by the rev counter moving up and down. I really like the rev counter because although it's digital, it sort of gives a throwback really to the old original sort of style, especially with the chrome surround. It looks really nice, but it's a nice clear display. This bike's only got 35 miles on it. You can connect the app, as I said earlier, to this one, and you can use turn-by-turn navigation, and it's got some basic functions, but nothing too exciting, and more importantly, nothing too complicated to use either. So let's start this one up then. So it's Royal Enfield's traditional push start over here, and that lovely purr from the parallel twin comes to life. So one of the first things I noticed when I got on this bike is actually just how tall it feels. It feels much taller than the Interceptor and the Continental. It does have a really nice commanding riding position though. As I say, the seat feels quite tall, and it is quite tall to be fair. I'm 5'7", and I just about almost flat foot it. But it's got really nice big wide bars here with that Scrambler brace across the middle. I really like that. If you've ridden any other Royal Enfield before, it's amazing how you can get on each one and immediately feel at home. All of the switchgear and everything is more or less the same, and I just like that. I like that simplicity, that approach that Royal Enfield has to their bikes. They always feel like user-friendly bits of kit. They're not too intimidating, both in tech and also in power. The second thing that you notice when you get on this one is how smooth it is. I cannot believe it. As soon as I pulled away, I was like, wow. And I think that that is a combination of a few things that's all adding up together to give that really nice smooth feel to this bike. So let's start off with the throttle. It is incredibly smooth. There's no snatchiness there. You know, that bite, the first bit of the throttle, that it's not sort of an on off feeling. The fueling is absolutely perfect. You then move off to collect into second gear, and you realise just how light that cable clutch is. It's amazing. A little tap on the brake will give you that reassuring instant feeling that, you know, this is something that's going to work, and it's going to work well. There isn't very much travel before the brake is taking action. It works really well. It gives a really strong feel, which is very confidence inspiring. It's the same with the front brake. It really does bite and grab really well. It feels really strong. Both the levers, by the looks of it, are adjustable. The engine then is a nice 650. It's the one that we're all familiar with by now. It's got plenty of power for the road. This is not a bike that's going to pull your arms off. It is not a race bike. It hasn't got that that lairiness of, say, the, you know, Triumph's 1200 Scrambler, for example. But this is a bike that I feel like you could use every day. You could use this, you know, going to work and pottering around, going through the lanes and whatnot. But also, you know, you could do some good distance on this, I reckon. So I'm moving along up to 50 mile an hour, 5th gear, 6th gear, settled down at 50 at just over 3,000 revs. The bike isn't laboured at all, you know, going along at real world speeds. And I imagine that this bike is going to be incredibly economical, as most of the Royal Enfields are actually. I'm always impressed by that with the Royal Enfields. Now, as I mentioned earlier on, there is already a catalogue of aftermarket parts, and for me personally, whether it would ruin the aesthetic and the look of the bike, I'm not sure, but I'd probably get a little fly screen there perhaps, just to try to throw the wind over me a little bit. But, you know, again, that's what this bike is. You're buying a Scrambler. It's all about the look, really. It's all about looking cool. Now, I say it's a Scrambler, but are you really going to be taking this off-road? Probably not. I don't think it's designed for that at all. Although, you know, it has got fairly decent suspension. You could definitely do a, you know, a gravel road with no trouble at all. When it comes to on the road though, the suspension does feel quite firm, and that does result in some really great handling. In the corners it feels so planted and stable, really quick to maneuver and move it around exactly as I want. Predictable is probably the word I would use, and I like that. I like that it's, you know, this is user friendly all round. This isn't something that's going to scare you silly, and that's probably what most people want these days. If you want a really leery bike, then you're going to go for a, you know, a sports bike or something that's a little bit different to this. I suspect it's probably not the bike for you. If you want something that's reasonably comfortable, looks really cool, I love the way that this bike looks, and it's going to be fairly cheap to buy and cheap to run. I think, you know, you haven't made a bad choice if you go for the Bear 650. So riding position, as I said earlier, really nice wide handlebars. I do like that. I love the feel of the grips as well, and you know, they look really nice with the Royal Enfield emblem written across it. The seat is fairly firm, as is the suspension, but I wouldn't say that it's uncomfortable, but I've only been on it a short time. I would say that my legs are quite an acute angle on this one. I think maybe I would prefer the pegs to be a little bit further forward, but that's always something that's going to be of a personal preference, and you know, depending on your own personal dimensions as well, is obviously going to alter how the bike fits you. However, if you're much shorter than I am, at 5'7", well, this one may not be for you. I had a really good look around this bike just now, and you know, I've been looking at the build quality and, you know, the fittings and things, and honestly I can't find anything to moan about. Everything looks like it's finished really well. I love the chrome aspects on the bike, but all of the nuts and bolts and things like that, it's all finished really nicely. As I said, the black gloss aluminium surrounds around the switchgear and stuff looks really nice. It looks high-end, and you know, it hasn't got a high-end price tag. They've really upgraded a lot of parts on this bike. A nice Showa suspension. They're not adjustable, but for road use they feel just fine actually. As I say, handling very, very good. It is a firm feeling bike, but I like that on the road. So I've been riding a little while now along these A roads, 30, 40, 50 miles an hour, and I think that this is where this bike belongs. This is where it should live. It's not a race bike. Honestly, it's a scrambler, but it's a scrambler in looks. As I say, fire trail, that sort of thing you can get away with. If you wanted to you know, take it camping or something, you need to do a little bit off-road, that's possible, but obviously it's not a proper off-road machine. I'm not going to do a motorway test on this one. I have ridden the Meteor for some time, and you know, I know that it's got absolutely no problem there with power, so you can definitely do motorway work on it. But without the screen, you know, how comfortable and how long you would want to do that for, I don't know. But I don't know about you, I don't want to be on the motorway for any longer than I can bear it, no matter what motorcycle I'm riding. So that's really not a negative point for me for this bike at all. Now that engine, it's an absolute peach for Royal Enfield. As I say, the fueling and everything is so smooth. There's no jerkiness at all. There's no aggression in the throttle or anything like that. But I'm going to overtake this car now. Moving on from third with absolute confidence I'm going to get by in time. Didn't even need to change up the gear there. It's a beautiful machine. I really like this one. I think it's got plenty enough power and everything for everyday use. There's been a real trend now of people moving away from the much larger, more powerful bikes, and I think it makes sense. You know, there's so many cameras and restrictions, and you know, then there's the quality of the road, certainly here in the UK as well. It doesn't make sense to go tearing along here, certainly not in the UK, and therefore you don't need a massive, great powerful engine. I love coming down through the gears on this bike. It gives a nice little pop from the exhaust. It does give a nice sound. It's not really loud and aggressive, but it's just enough to put a little smile on your face when you accelerate away, you know? So I noted earlier on that the tyres look like the Rally STRs, but of course they're not. But they do handle very well. I mean, you know, I'm not pushing them in any way at all, and probably you won't either if you buy this kind of bike. But I don't have any objections to them. You twist that throttle with anger, I tell you what, it does give it a good old shove. This is not a bike that you're going to get bored with. Royal Enfield, you make some fabulous machines. Credit where credit's due. For the price point and the quality that Royal Enfield are offering, it's no wonder that they're selling so many of their machines, not just here in the UK but around the world. I'm told now that Royal Enfield are now over here distributing their own bikes in the UK from Leicester, and they're designing the tech and things there, but of course it's still being actually put together in India. But it's nice that they're back here in the UK with Royal Enfield having started out here. It's nice that they're back home. Now, I'll often say when I do a motorcycle review that it's a funny thing really, because it's just one man's opinion, and you know, one man's opinion isn't really enough to review a bike as a whole, because if we all liked and loved the same things, then we'd all be riding the same bike, wouldn't we? So my advice to you, as always, is to get yourself out on the Royal Enfield Bear 650. Go out and try the bike for yourself. Dealerships always have demo bikes available, certainly here in the UK, and they want you to take their bikes out. They want you to go out for a spin and experience it and tell other people what you think, and you know, give them feedback on it. And you know, I can do that for you here via YouTube and tell you my opinion, but try to get out on them yourself if you can. So on that note, I would like to thank CMS Motorcycles here in Exeter. They're our local Royal Enfield dealer, and they've been around for many years and highly recommended. If you're in the Devon area, then yeah, CMS Exeter is the guys for you. They also supply all the parts and whatnot as well, so if you need that, have a look online, and they can get any Royal Enfield motorcycle parts for you, no problem. So on that note, I would like to thank Royal Enfield for providing us with another fantastic mid-size motorcycle. They've done an excellent job on this bike. So let me know your thoughts, your opinions. Let me know if you've been out and tried one. Any questions you got, put them in the comments, and don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. Until next time, love you, bye.